did it, would you think he
Mm.
would be closer to the comics and to the mythos of Superman more than
I don't
Yeah,
James
know.
Gunn?
I
I
think
don't know.
I think Spielberg would, because Spielberg can take lighthearted stuff and then also be serious. He knows how to handle themes. He also knows how to incorporate character development. Because I can't remember really what was the main lesson that Superman needed to learn. That's one of the
Yeah,
biggest
that's
points
why I
of a
couldn't connect with it. I couldn't connect with
right.
it.
He so the main point of any movie, almost any movie, is usually to see, especially the heroic, the hero's journey, is to see the character learn some new lesson or theme and then embody the theme through action.
Yeah,
Now he's changed as a whole person, and how he handles conflicts is way different than he did at the very beginning of the movie. In this movie, he doesn't handle conflicts any different than he would have at the beginning, because at the beginning he still needed everyone else's help to help him deal with the conflicts, and at the end he still needs everyone's help to deal with the conflicts. He doesn't grow as a character, and that's the biggest thing that I was disappointed with. And that's the biggest thing that I was disappointed with so many people still liking the movie, when it's like, bro, you didn't see him transform at all.
yeah.
I think I think people were just waiting for a Superman movie. They didn't care how it was
Yep.
going to look. That's what
Yep.
it was. I mean,
Yep.
well, like for now, until I think this is the first movie. We never know how the second movie will look. One thing I think big disappointment, we didn't get a Superman Man of Steel 2, which it should have been working out
Yeah.
instead of jumping straight
I heard
into
that Batman and Batman versus Superman was the Man of Steel too.
that was a
That
bad
that's what
idea.
they
That
that
was
Shouldn't
to
have
me
been.
yeah.
that's too early. It's like with
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 you brought in Venom. That was too early. Venom is good for maybe a fourth movie. And Silver Grace, he looked more like Carnage than Venom. It should have got
Topher Grace shouldn't have been either of them. Topher Grace should not be nowhere near a symbiote.
yeah,
That dude does not look like. Ugh,
yeah,
I
he
was
should have.
pissed off
If you're
about
gonna get
that.
anybody, you're gonna get everybody play any Brock. It has to be somebody like maybe Dwayne Johnson or whoever I try to think of actors like good size, like looks like Eddie Brock in the comics. You look at him,
Well, Tom Hardy
but
did a good job acting as him, but he doesn't look like Eddie Brock.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's just the thing is that that's a different universe now. That version of Venom is gone. There's, I think what one person also had never really did good with their superhero series was Sony, because Spider-Man they did pretty good with the first. I would say
Two
the
and a half.
first,
Two and a half.
yeah, first two and a half, maybe Amazing Spider-Man they didn't really. I don't know. I thought it was not that great of a the
You knew.
first Amazing Spider-Man was
They
all right,
haven't
but the second
they
one was
come
just so.
they coming with another Spider-Man. I think I forgot a brand new day, something like that. And they
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
about having a Punisher in it, from what I know.
I don't know, because that's one thing
Yeah,
Disney's still kind of shaky about. It just picked up, the Daredevil series, and they're still shaky about doing anything. That's why they just did the whole thing with Wolverine and Deadpool. I
yeah, that
mean,
shit was trash.
I didn't like
Yeah, it
Deadpool
was
Wolverine
trash.
either. Thank you.
Yeah,
I thought that movie
yeah,
was way overrated.
yeah, it was
yeah.
trash.
I think it's
I'm
just
just
that.
looking at it. I'm just looking at that shit.
Yeah,
Just like the Superman stuff.
I think it's just with Disney, they kind of like they have other people because Disney don't do a lot of radio art. They have Touchstone or one of the other affiliates to do the radio art stuff. Because even though MCU it's still Disney. If they do any kind of Punisher movie like that, they have to do it like I said again. We had talked about this how we had the debate about the Dolph Lundgren Punisher compared to the Ray Stevenson Punisher, and then you had Thomas Jane in the middle. Um, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher was all right, it was hokey. The Jane Thomas Jane was all right, but it didn't was too much like the original. Like it did differently from the comic books, and I like the Ray Stevenson version because it was more closer to the comics than anything. This version of Punisher, he's decent, but I think it was better probably when it's on Netflix. Hoping they
Mm.
might even, one thing is people want to see maybe the return of Luke Cage. That's a character that don't get enough opportunities. Maybe put on the big screen. Now that you got the new Thunderbolt series, which is going to be later become the new Avengers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know, but one thing about this the Thunderbolts, I mean, it was decent. It wasn't too bad. You know, I think Century was better than Superman in that because especially he took out the Thunderbolts down, he put them down a bit and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I don't know, like what's the future gonna be like with these comic book movies? I think they're gonna have comic book fatigue or something like that, man.
Yeah,
I'm,
you
Just
I'm
just,
getting it. I'm getting a little
yeah,
bit of comic book fatigue because I just think that the people who are in charge of these movies, they don't really care that much about the story or the lore.
no, they don't. They
I
don't.
think these people don't. They just either just want to make money or they really want to really try hard to twist the characters to put their own agenda or whatever into them.
and,
Because I heard. Go ahead, George.
and you remember they did that Vin Diesel movie about what's that character's name? It was based on a
Oh, I
comic.
know you're talking about. Yeah,
Uh,
he was like
uh,
a cyborg a bit. He was a
yeah,
cyborg.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
one of
I
those
know you
really
talking.
small, obscure side comic
I
companies.
think Bloodshot, something like that.
Bloodshot, yeah,
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
Yeah,
Bloodshot. It was called Valiant. They have a few comics, but they didn't really blow up as big.
yeah.
You know, they like remember they put out the Spawn movie. They talk about making a new Spawn. You know,
Mm.
to
I
me,
like the Spawn movie. I like the
yeah,
Spawn.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Spawn movie was cool.
It was pretty
Yeah, it
good.
was.
It was all right. I think one thing was I think some
Do
movies.
you do? No, I just wanted to ask it. Yeah, do y'all have y'all ever read the Spawn comics and liked it? Because
I
I
have
hear all the
Spawn. I have Spawn comics.
I got a couple. I bet I never really got into the image like that much.
I
yeah.
so the writing for Spawn is actually not that great, just to be honest. I think at least in the early days, they what's it called? Todd McFarlane really relies on just the visual aspect of Spawn to
Yeah, I heard
carry in
that
the
before. Yeah.
but yeah, the story is actually not that great. I do think it starts to get better later on, but I've read some of them and I'm just like, wow, this story is like almost.
Actually,
Go ahead.
the anime series is better. You might say
I
the
talked
anime.
to a woman back in while back, and she was the writer. She was writing for Spawn and stuff. Yeah, it was a brand new story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same with Spawn.
Hey,
It
here's
was
a side.
just go ahead,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I know you
It
go.
was,
You go.
go ahead. I'm just
George, go ahead, bro. Cause
okay. The thing with Spawn is just I don't know. I think ah, it's just something missing about it, especially the movie. Maybe the storyline. How for one thing, Martin Sheen playing as Jason Wynn. It could have been Charlie. Charlie would have been better. You know that's more his character. Martin, he's already an old man by then. Jason Wynn should have been younger. The storyline should have been. It was Chapel that killed Spawn, not this chick. Um, is I just feel like it just the thing about a lot of these producers and production companies, they don't really sit down and read the comics thoroughly.
no, they don't.
They
I don't
glance
think they read
over it.
them at all.
Yeah, they don't read them all. They glance over it to get some info from somebody. Maybe they talk to the kids and ask them about it, and they just don't really go through it. Like again, we talk about how they use the movies like The Long Halloween, or also the Killing Joke, or for the Batman movies. And this also you got Hush. That's pretty good. That'd be a great movie adaptation.
Hush
They
is
do that.
great
Yeah,
story arc. I
you
have that one.
know,
Great one.
I don't
or
think I read that. I think I had one issue of that where
Hush.
I
Oh,
think the Huntress beat up these thugs and stuff, and so she was protecting Batman, and yeah, she takes him to the Batcave and try to like he's try to they try to hit he tries to like use this machine to heal him and stuff like that. Yeah, I had one of the issues.
yeah, I think one thing it's a hit when you try to do something like what James Gunn, his idea is from All Star Superman, which was a story where Superman got killed and he died because he got too much sun. But I
Mm.
think it's just I said again, these producers and movie productions really need to find a tank when they do these. Sit down and talk with people who are comic book fans, who can take. I think one thing they don't want to deal with because they feel like, hey, you're nerds, you don't know shit. But people like what they like. But then most of the time they're going by just what the everyday person want on face value. Yeah, with Superman, he's the all-American hero who comes from his. Funny right now we go to stuff about immigration and stuff like that. Here's this guy from another planet who lives here, grows up here. He tries to do things just for this country, but he wants to do things for the world. And we go back to Joel thing. The best Joel is always going to be Marlon Brando in the first Superman movie. He says, "My son, they're going to need you, your strength. They're going to look at you, God, but you're not a God. You're there to help them, to advance." You know, it's just this thing about this new movie.
Russell Crowe did great as Jor-El too, though.
Yeah, he
Russell
did.
But the thing about this movie, it's just going to be, people are not going to like it. People are going to see it as when it first was made announcement they were going to go with a new Superman after dumping Henry Cavill. There was a lot of people really pissed, especially after that the Black Adam movie when they saw him come back and he was going to face Black Adam. People was waiting to see, hey, okay, we're waiting for that. But then boom, some say they blame The Rock for that, but I won't say I blame The Rock. I blame the studio because they really didn't invest
He was
into
supposed
that.
to. They could have put him in that Shazam movie, but he didn't want to. He wanted his solo movie, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I think that everybody knows Black Adam is truly a Shazam villain. That second
Right.
Shazam movie, that's why it didn't do well because they didn't like that version. People didn't like it. They were hoping for a crossover between Shazam and Black Adam. They wanted to see that. Maybe they should have got a different actor to play, but just that The Rock assumed that image and look of it. He's very androgynous because he's half black, half Samoan. He has that look to him.
And he got that. And the one thing about him, he has like that superhero aura in him for some reason. Because you see it in like the Fast and Furious, and
Yeah, he could play
in
a
other
lot.
movies and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he
Rock could
has
play
that
several.
potential.
Some say
Rock could
they
play
supposed.
several heroes.
Yeah, some say they're waiting for a sequel to Hobbs and Shaw, but I think him and Jason Statham don't really get along much. I like it, like how
Oh
him and
yeah,
Vin Diesel don't get along. You know,
All
I
right,
don't.
well, to switch to a different topic, and I know they'll never do this, but wouldn't it be cool if they actually casted the next Wonder Woman as a buff Amazon type of character? Like,
That'd be a
instead of her
dream.
just being this skinny, normal girl that they generally go with, I really
yeah,
do want to see them. They don't need to make the Wonder Woman a female bodybuilder, but they could go with a athletic, like a woman who's like, I don't know, like a CrossFit type of build or um, anything like that. Because there's girls out there like that, but I don't know how many of them are actually actors. But that's really what Wonder Woman of today. Because you got to remember, Wonder Woman when she was created, she was always built more athletic and muscular than the average woman of her day. Because her body has transformed since her first creation. When she first was created, she didn't have that much visible muscle, but she was fit. As it turned into the 70s, 80s, 90s, you actually start, especially in now the 2000s, she is, you could say, most times she's drawn pretty muscular. Still
yeah.
slender, but pretty muscular. And some
I,
artists make her actually big. So I'm
and
like, why? Go
they're
ahead.
doing the new Gladiator series. The lady I interviewed her name is Danielle Means. She's going to be playing one of the gladiators. Her and another lady are both IB pros. They are figure competitors. I don't know. She's not that tall. I think Danielle's maybe 5'6". She's
They need
also
to
she's
make her tall. They need to make her
yeah,
tall,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So she has to. Wonder Woman has to be at least about 5'10", maybe 5'11". Not too much taller than Batman. Not too much taller than Superman. Because that's the thing. One thing I didn't like about Ben Affleck as Batman, he was too
He
tall.
was
He was taller than
taller.
Superman.
He was taller than
Superman.
Superman.
You should never have Batman taller than Superman.
Yeah, that is
Like
kind of
Henry
weird.
Cavill is 6 feet tall. Ben Affleck is 6'4". If anything, Chris Bell said he wanted to do but they wanted Chris Bell. Chris Bell's like maybe 5'10", 5'11". So yeah, I would have accepted that because Batman's not that tall, and Superman's not. Batman is supposed to be taller than Superman. Superman's supposed to be taller than Batman.
Yeah, but Zack Snyder, he wasn't really like a comic book reader of Batman and Superman. I heard that he was mostly like into the heavy metal comics and stuff.
That
So
explains why he mainly only liked the Dark Knight Returns type of stuff when he came
yeah,
to Batman. Um, but in terms of the heights and stuff, they don't have to be exactly right, but you have to have it in the ballpark where, like, they're somewhat close. And Wonder Woman in her heels is roughly almost the same height as them, if not
mm,
sometimes the same height. And some artists have made her. There's a guy named Darwin Cook. He made her taller than both Superman and Batman because he leaned into the whole fact that she's an Amazon. Um,
Mhm.
but I wish they would make her a little bit bigger versus always keeping her as this slender, dainty. Gal
yeah.
Gadot was good in the first movie. She
I don't
did
think
play the role well.
they'll ever do that really, like, cause they
Yeah.
already planning this girl. Like, she's a nice looking girl, but she's not athletic like that. But but she's pretty. She looked like she could be a Wonder Woman, but she's not athletic looking though.
Maybe
The
she
way
was
how
like
you
Wonder Girl.
describing it.
Maybe like
Yeah,
Wonder Girl. That's one thing. I think they never really, because you did have Wonder Girl in the old Linda Carter had 2 episodes of Deborah Winger. She didn't want to.
they
Melissa was
actually
saying like,
had a Wonder Girl on Teen Titan on the Titans. The I don't know if you ever seen it, but the Titan series on they would show it sometimes on TNT, but they showed it on the DC network or
wait, I
something.
remember.
But they actually had like a Titan series, but it's not accurate. It's not accurate as the comic though. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's really different.
yeah, yeah. I remember when it started. They had the Wonder Girl in the Young Justice series. That was, I think, that was that second season when they had
Mm.
rebooted and went with 5 years in ahead, and everybody grew up. You know, that's the thing is, you got to find the right actress for the right role, and that's the thing with Hollywood. They're not going to get a woman that's. They don't want a woman too like if you remember, go back to the Wonder Woman movie with Gal Gadot. There was women in there that looked like they could have been more like Wonder Woman. Most of them were CrossFitters. He had one woman who played Artemis that was Anne Brown
Yeah,
Sugar Wolf, who was ex boxer.
yeah.
I mean, it's just they want that certain look of very strong, but they don't want it too strong. Very feminine, but not too like she's weak. They would get with Doc because she had a great look to her, very statuesque, very she's Israeli. Used to be in the military. You know, she had a regimental mind. That's what they went with her. Of course, she's attractive. You know, to me, yeah, she's a little bit on the skinny side. Maybe if she give her maybe,
Very
you know,
skinny.
yeah, maybe give a few more pounds of
Yeah,
muscle, just 2 or 3 more pounds. You don't have to have a lot, just enough where
there's
when
this lady, like, not to cut you off, but there's
yeah,
this fit model that almost looked like her. I made a video comparing her to Gal Gadot, and she looked just like her but with muscles. I took it out, but it had like a lot of views and stuff. So
mhm.
yeah,
Why take it out?
at the time, I don't know, because somebody, that Anna Prince chick, she kind of gave me some strikes, and I don't know, I just was like very cautious of like showcasing some people videos, content and stuff like that. So I just went kind of crazy just to avoid like getting that third strike, because that third strike, it's a wrap. So that's why I did it, man. But yeah, but I had it, and yeah. So
Yeah, that's funny. About I don't have one strike. That was because I actually put somebody's video that they. I didn't think it was an advertising video because it looked like it was just a regular workout video. But it told me because it was that company that had it. I said, oh, because
yeah,
so like these ladies they post this stuff out there. They usually put a little advertising tag or something. So you see advertising tag and say, okay, I don't mess with it. But if it's something that's like the basic like workout stuff or whatever like that, or just a regular video you put out or some of the personal stuff, yeah, but you gotta be careful. Some can be really assholes about it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to talk too much about bodybuilding, but Brandon, you was talking about something about what the about Superman. You ain't like Superman because he was more superior,
Well, I've always
something
been
like that.
I'm you talking about from the very beginning of our
Yeah,
conversation?
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
always been well. Initially, when I was a little kid, I liked Superman because he's like generic hero. But as I was developing, I had always had Batman toys and stuff, and so I
yeah,
always liked Batman more than Superman. But as I was getting older, seeing him as like I could tell that he was like in a way like a white man's power fantasy. Like they want the ultimate hero who looks good, perfect, basically morally superior to most everyone else, and he's the one that brings light and hope to the rest of the world. It was like a white savior type character, and I still view him as that. Like I think that's part of the agenda behind that character, the hidden agenda. But because of that, for me, he's a character that I can like to hate. I can like to hate on the Hulk because I don't like dumb, brute, angry characters. So I make fun of Hulk all the time. But if you do a Hulk movie, like I didn't like uh, Thor Ragnarok because they took one of the key Hulk storylines and they kind of they really butchered it. The whole Planet
Planet
Hulk,
Hulk. Yeah.
they butchered it for some jokes in that movie, and I didn't like it because it's like, look, I may hate on the character, but I do like it when I see the character done right. Like like in the first Avengers movie, I think they handled Hulk very well in that movie. And so with Superman, he's a character that I can hate on, but I still respect. I do actually respect him because you need to handle that character. He is such an icon in the not just America, especially in American mindset, but in the world view,
yeah,
you need to handle that character with respect.
yeah,
And when you have it where he's getting especially beaten up throughout the whole movie, a guy like me who's a Superman hater, I should enjoy that, but I don't. The only times I enjoy it is when it's earned. When say Batman puts on like kryptonite rings and like starts beating the shit out of him because he's a better fighter, or when someone's actually able to really like fuck Superman over mentally to where he's not thinking clearly and they're using more skill to beat him, like kind of like Zod was doing in Man of Steel. That's one of the things I really liked about Man of Steel. Zod had the upper hand on Superman when they were fighting most of the times because Zod's just a better trained fighter.
yeah.
Superman's a brawler, and that's something that's pointed out several times in certain comics that Wonder Woman's actually, even though she's not as powerful as Superman, she's a better fighter than him. Like if she
Yeah,
had
there's
the
a
same.
story that I'm not that cut you off. There's a story of it's called Dead Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the future where Wonder Woman she gets up. I mean, she sleeps for like 100 years and gets up, and she gets awakened in the future and stuff like that. And she's like in the world. It's like it's like a post-apocalyptic with all these mutant monsters and stuff like that. And so they were showing a scene where, how it started, where she accused Superman of being responsible of the nuclear holocaust because the one like there were missiles that was heading to Themyscira and it killed all the Amazons. And so she was pissed. And so she just spazzed out on Superman that they was fighting like in the Bat Cave, and she took like a pieces of kryptonite and she just wailed on him with it, and they like she like put a hole in his chest, and and so like I think there was like this robot because her and Cheetah, Cheetah's like a mutant in the series, and so they have like this flying Pegasus unicorn to Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and one of Superman robots was reminding her that you killed him, and so she was crying and stuff and throwing up, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
thing,
with a little bit of kryptonite, Wonder Woman is powerful enough and skilled enough to kill Superman. Um, but there have been times where they've been written to where she's basically Superman light, where they give her almost as much strength and ability as him. She's just dialed down a bit, but always they make it clear that she's more skilled at fighting than he is. Just like
Yeah,
yeah,
Batman's more
yeah.
skilled at fighting than Superman
Yeah, the thing with Batman, he always has a contingency plans. He knows how to beat almost all the heroes. Like
Mhm.
one thing that's always been funny about was like is in some comics that Superman can be mind controlled or
is.
even Jokerized, and that's funny. You should be immune to those things. How your body is and how your constitution. He can go against. He can go into a nuclear situation and not nothing happen to him. But then Poison Ivy can like a hush. Poison Ivy
Yeah,
can
Poison
control
Ivy could
you,
control him.
or like in the one of the I think it goes there was a series where you go like the dark negative universe where the where Batman was Jokerized. He can Jokerize you. I mean, that's where it just keeps it's being like inconsistent sometimes. You are Superman. You should be only thing other than magic, red sun, and kryptonite. Unless that Jokerization is laced with kryptonite, it shouldn't affect you. Period. Unless Poison Ivy has something in kryptonite, it shouldn't affect you. Period. Anything you should be invulnerable to anything, everything. If you can go into a nuclear, um, you know, waste disposal and nothing, not even get a burn or anything, you shouldn't be bothered by so simple stuff unless it's laced with kryptonite. That's the thing. It's
Well,
just they just keep changing and being consistent, especially in the comics.
well, the comics are written over so many years with so many different writers that that's bound to happen. I don't like those types of inconsistencies. I don't really care. I don't want Superman to be mind controlled. I feel like that's a lame cop out. I do like it when villains use his emotions against him. When they get him so pissed off or so distracted by caring about certain things, and then he makes a bad decision because of that. That's more realistic, and that shows the villains being very clever with how they deal with them. But the
Yeah,
mind control stuff is it's kind of lazy. It's a lazy reason. Like, we need to make Superman the bad guy, and everyone needs to team up against him right now. So let's just have him get mind control.
yeah. And like I said, Superman is like I say, he is one thing about Superman. Like a lot of politics talk about how this is like like recently Dean Cain, who was what I think my least favorite Superman. I never liked him in Superman. I don't know why. I just he didn't really zoom Superman for me. Um,
What
they
about
talk about how
Smallville? You like Smallville?
I didn't watch it that much because I used to
Yeah.
I
work
didn't
at
watch.
I used to work at night sometimes. I saw it every now and then. It was in syndication on TNT, but I never really watched it like that because I worked at night a lot.
It was
Uh,
alright. Yeah, it was
yeah.
okay.
Uh, to me, it's just that people talking about how he's just great American, but also he's an immigrant. He comes from another planet. He comes here. He grows up. And he's technically he's not even legally a legal citizen because he had never got his. He's been adopted by the kids, but there's a lot of stuff about his story and mythos is just it's kind of mixed. It's people saying he's just represents America, but he never said that I'm not American. I represent the world. This is
But
what
Well,
Americans are the initial like American dream person, pioneer, and all that. They are immigrants, so that's why he resonates with that spirit. Let's say, um, his origin story is actually taken somewhat from Moses,
yeah,
um,
I heard that.
Mhm.
but that's not, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that type of stuff actually
The,
helps with his lore. I think they did a good job. The creators, I can't remember the name, the two Jewish men who
they
created it.
they they actually was
Uh,
Jewish.
yeah,
They
Yeah,
what?
they
I
Yeah,
they
think they
was
did a
Jewish.
good job.
what?
I think
Schuster
they
They
did
and
a good job with his lore, with his
Schuster
creation.
and what's it? One was called Jerry Schuster and what's the
Yeah,
other's name?
I think it also.
Uh, I think was it Jerry Schuster and
That
so I
sounds
was
right.
watching I was watching a thing about them to talk about how they get the idea.
Yeah, he
But
was
yeah,
supposed to originally supposed to be a supervillain, but it didn't work out, and so they kept like changing the story, and then eventually it became like the Superman we know today, and yeah, so
Yeah, because remember, originally he didn't fly; he jumped. They said he,
Yeah.
then they create. Then later on, they started changing, involving his powers.
and
If you go back to the the Richard Donner Superman, he was way more powerful. And then you remember when he did the anime series, they said they had to drop him down a little bit, not make him as powerful. Because remember that last episode of Justice League where he was like, I was watching somebody showing it, and it was like we was fighting Darkseid. Says, I feel like I'm in a world of cardboard that I gotta hold back. But he's
Oh
looking at
yeah.
Darkseid. Yeah, you can take it, big man. And he's just whooping on him. But Darkseid, he's Darkseid. And funny is the person that beat him was a guy in a suit with no powers, and that was Lex Luthor.
yeah. But we got a comment on. I mean, really, you really like this new Superman? This piece of garbage? Well, we didn't. I don't like
I don't
it.
think any of us have said we liked it. I don't
I
know
didn't
where
even
you
watch
got
the movie yet.
it.
I didn't watch
You
the movie
just
yet.
probably
So
just came in, so my
Yeah,
friend.
like,
So then he says this Superman is even worse than Superman Return. Well, Superman Return wasn't all that bad to me. I thought it was a little bit better than Batman Begins.
oh, hell no,
So
hell no,
what?
hell no. Mm-mm.
Batman Begins was a great movie, man.
That's a
Batman
great
Begins and The
movie.
Dark Knight are
That's a
great
great
movies.
movie,
I
Daddy.
thought I thought I
Hell
didn't think it was
no.
all that, man. I really I
I,
try to like it. I try to like, and it's
I
not
know.
like I didn't like everything. I just like everything. I like
You
when
wanted
he's
more fight
Bruce
scenes.
Wayne.
That's what it was. You wanted more fight scenes, I
See
think.
what I
Yeah,
say? The
yeah,
thing
but
is, it's the story.
I like. I said. I mean, I like when Bruce Wayne was vulnerable, like because you didn't really like see him much as Bruce Wayne. Mostly, you would see him as
I think he
Batman.
was
But
vulnerable in the whole
Yeah,
trilogy. Like
he
he was
just,
vulnerable in the whole
because he's
trilogy.
human. You got to remember,
Yeah.
Batman is human. He's not a super. He's not a
no,
superhero.
I'm
He's a
just saying
human.
that's good. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that I could relate to it. As him being Bruce Wayne than just being Batman. That's all.
But you got to
I
remember,
think
Batman and Superman are two different people. As I like to always Bruce says, Bruce Wayne is his mask. He's really Batman.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, they kind of they are a little bit of the same, but they're just loners. Superman he's the
no,
last. He is
Superman gets
If
along.
you
Well,
he's a
Superman
loner.
wants. He is a loner, but he actually gets along with people more than Batman
yeah,
does.
Yeah, but they do have something in common. It's not like they don't have
orphans.
anything in common. They're just opposites. That's all it is. Like
Yeah,
Superman is day and Batman is night, but there's some similarities there. Don't
yeah.
make it seem like it's not.
That's why I say that they're two sides of a different coin. And so again, Superman is this powerful being. He wants to see himself as a mortal man. He just want to be like everybody else. But while
Yeah.
Batman is this regular man who wants to be more than a man. And you got to think
Yeah.
about it. One guy grew up in Kansas in a farm. The other guy is a billionaire. They both have
But
one
Batman is still vulnerable in his own way because he got those demons really, like his parents.
And
That
that's
kind of
why
motivates him to just
see.
Superman really does want to fit in, and he does go out of his way to fit in. Batman actually does not want to fit in with society. Batman